say the biggest change will be the explosion, the booming of Asheville, or what is happening, because it's easy to complain about the growth, and sometimes growth is unstoppable.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Rodrigo, founder with Asheville Real Estate News. Really excited to bring you episode number 28. Got a really good one for you. Before we get into it, just a little bit of house cleaning. Wanted to see if everybody checked out our Real Estate 2018 predictions. See what you think, what your thoughts were. Let us know. And don't forget, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We're trying to be everywhere you're at, and we're even on iTunes. So check it out, give us a download, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars if you think this is good and valuable for you. Today, we're talking with Luiz Serapio, and we're talking about diversity in the market and what that looks like when it comes to real estate, housing, etc. So why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little background?
Sure, my name is Luiz Serapio. I have lived in Asheville for about 17 years, and I have seen the growth ever since, and I feel like it's a market with a lot of potential, and I think that it's an exciting time for Latinos to be here, and now that we have more people that are trying to make materials to be available in both Spanish and English, I think it's a great time.
Yeah, no, and that's what, obviously really excited to bring you here because, really quickly, but how did you get into Asheville before we get into everything else? Everybody has a different story how Asheville became home.
Well, I used to live in New York City, and I wanted to have a business that it was about bringing furnishings and art from South America.
Oh, cool.
So I started bringing things first from Mexico and then Peru. And I got a gig decorating a restaurant in downtown Asheville. And then from one shop that was 800 square footage, I grew to 6,000 square footage within a year and a half.
Wow. And
I did that for about 10 years.
That must have been a fun trajectory.
It was interesting. It had its really good times, and it also had not very good times when the housing crisis happened.
Yeah, well, like most times, anytime you're doing that and you're branching out on something new, that's ups and downs for sure, right?
Definitely.
And so what do you do now, or what's your main focus here in Asheville?
Well, I have developed a bilingual platform that is called Discover Asheville. And the whole purpose of this bilingual platform is to expose Asheville, not only its attractions, but any kind of businesses, and really to make them realize that Latinos, we're a market if we were to be catered in a way that we can identify with. Obviously, we speak English. Most of us, we speak English. We've been here for many years. And even the ones that are not very fluent, they navigate in an English world. However, when we recognize things, even if it's just a phrase in Spanish, it will catch our attention.
Right.
And because of the loyalty to a degree to our language and culture, we identify with that and we go there. So
yeah, absolutely. It's hard not to gravitate towards that. For those of you who don't know, I'm half Colombian. I was born and raised in Colombia, and so I've been here in Asheville since 2009, and it's the same thing. It's anytime, every country has their own different little sayings, but anytime you hear something, I'm like, oh, I know that's Colombian. It's like your ears perk up, your antennas go up. You're like,
right.
Ooh, there's another one of us.
Right.
So,
definitely.
Obviously definitely can relate with that. So you've been here 17 years.
17.
And, obviously the focus of what we do here is real estate. What, in your experience, what's been the biggest change? Maybe what's been the biggest change, what's been the best change, and maybe what's been the worst change? And, they can overlap.
I'll say the biggest change will be the explosion, the booming of Asheville. I mean, really, when I came here, really, the first time I came here was probably about 20 years ago. It was very different than what it is today, obviously. And the prices were very different. I mean, it was super cheap. But it had potential, and now, in a way, there's some people that feel like it's out of hand in the way that they cannot afford to live here.
Yeah.
But I also think that it has to do with the diversifying of what it is that you do and how it is that you take advantage of what is happening. Because it's easy to complain about the growth, and sometimes growth is unstoppable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that obviously increased the prices, but I also think that it's an opportunity for investors. Every time that happens.
And just to clarify, when you say investors, do you mean just real estate investors, or do you just mean anybody who's approaching business as an investment?
Anybody, but I will say that real estate is the biggest investment. That's what it's called, real estate.
Absolutely.
So,
can't complain there, obviously.
Good for you.
As what that's the purpose of this show, is to talk about real estate and create that conversation. So that's been the good. What's been the bad?
Well, the bad is obviously, I feel like salaries or wages in this area need to also improve. They need to grow with the demand of housing that is in a way too pricey for some people.
Definitely, yeah.
And I feel like some things can be done.
Yeah, and anytime there's something that's not working, thankfully the human mind overall is really creative, and solutions start to pop up and show themselves, and it's just a matter of how long it takes to take traction. Because the housing problem's been here for years now, as far as a conversation point and people talking and addressing it. So I know putting you on the spot, but any thoughts on might be the possible creative solution?
That's a tough one, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to say that I don't know. There is people that think about doing co-ops, the way they buy land, the way they buy real estate. I wish I could tell you more. I mean, in my experience, I'm somewhat lucky.
Yeah.
My wife and we purchased a house so many years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting on something that has some value because we live here in West Asheville,
Right.
and now we so want it. But even then, though, I mean, it brings its challenges. Again, I'm not really sure what to advise people about how to go about this. I mean, I'm here to learn.
Yeah, I think that's my approach as well. It's like how it's so complex of an issue is how do you really say what the solution is? It's more like, hey, I know like this very little bit about this topic, and what do you have? And then everybody kind of learns and teaches each other.
Yeah, I think that if more than anything is to open up yourself to change and to learn.
Right.
Because oftentimes people, when they have a problem, like housing problem, it's not that it's easy to close themselves. It's just that it's hard and people like get nervous and all that. But even in a hard situation, I think that there is some kind of learning, and there is always some kind of opportunity. I mean, I want to believe that.
Yeah, I think everybody would like to believe that, right? It's what makes it the hard times worthwhile when you think it's going to be building.
I give you a very really quick example.
Yeah,
I remember back in the 80s and in Mexico, we had a really, really bad crisis where the currency lost its value so badly, and everybody was freaking out. There was a brand that came on top of that, and that was Corona. Because Corona thought, okay, so the dollar is going up, and then they decided to invest in marketing Corona in the United States. And the way they decided to do that is to actually sell the idea or the memory to Americans that were visiting in Mexico for a spring break and all that, that was the beer that gave it a good time.
Yeah.
And then they have commercials here where you will see the palm tree with the Christmas lights, and it was kind of like playing with that idea, like it brings you a good time, it's the beach, and it became a huge success.
Yeah.
And those people that own Corona beer in Mexico, they were laughing about the crisis after a while.
Yeah, it wasn't a crisis for them at that point.
Well, no, because they were able to diversify. They saw the potential in something that was really bad.
Yeah.
They could remain in Mexico and let the brand lose all its value.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and talking about diversification, let's go back to that. So you've been involved. Obviously, you've run your own business. You're plugged into the Latino community here. Obviously, plugged into the, let's call it just the American or non-Latino community as well.
Sure.
You have great English, obviously. So when you're talking about diversification, what are the things that you've seen that have happened, or what was the case for you to be like, hey, I want to start this school to Asheville, and be like maybe highlight that or bring focus to that?
There's two things. There is diversification and there is inclusion. When it comes to diversification, I think there is people of different backgrounds in Asheville.
Right.
But when it comes to inclusion, I think is when opportunity is created equally for everyone. Another thing that we need to notice, though, is that I believe that some of the most successful business downtown are owned by Latinos. And I will say, for example, Salsas, the restaurant. There is also Bomba and Modesto, who are owned by the same person, and it's a person of Puerto Rican background. And then you also have Curate, right around the corner, which one of the owners is from Spain. And then you have Limones, really like about a block away from them. And they also been there for, I don't know, good 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 years. And now they have two restaurants, and they also own the building.
Right.
So these are really successful Latino people that saw the potential, and they were able to succeed. And those are just three examples. So I believe that the market is here. People are curious about diversity, and I believe that they would like Latinos to be included. But there is some kind of a struggle to find a way to how to make that happen.
Yeah, as we both know, anytime anybody who's gone out there to do something new, there's that process of meshing old with new, and that's
Definitely.
the same thing. Obviously, in rapid change, it's always hard to stay on top of, and that's what we've seen. Obviously, it's been fueled a lot by the real estate, but prices going up, and there's a lot of change going on.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, what would you say the outlook is for people who, as far as working on the inclusion component of things? Do you think Latinos are going to be buying more, renting more? How do you think their approach is? Do you see a successful mesh down the road with all your work and the conversations you've had?
Definitely. I believe that it will happen, but I also think that it's a two-way street. I also feel like there's those people that will want to be homeowners. And they do whatever they have to do to be able to make that happen.
Right.
But again, I feel like if there was a little bit more of information in Spanish, not that they only speak Spanish,
right,
but really just a little bit of acknowledgement that we come here to contribute and we're not just a charge. If that mentality was to change a little bit, I feel like most people will see the positive impact of what Latinos contribute to the economy.
Yeah, I know you both know it's like the desire to work really hard and to add value is, when you show up at a new place, man, it like fuels you hard, doesn't it?
Definitely.
And I would agree with you on that. Well, I know you're talking about the School to Asheville and whatnot, and that's obviously, I think that's a great project personally, but if somebody was to try to get, find more information, where are you guys on social media? Where are you online? What is somebody?
Definitely. We're on Facebook, so the School to Asheville Facebook. And we are also on Instagram, as well as our website is theschooltoasheville.com.
And
you can
we'll throw the links up, obviously,
Cool.
on the notes and everything.
Right on.
Question just, kind of off the topic a little bit, but it's important. We kind of have to go back and forth a little bit on whether renting or buying a house is better. And I know I'm putting you on the spot. Obviously, you own a home, so you have thoughts about that. But in general, if somebody's coming up to you today and be like, hey, should I buy or should I rent? What would you say? Off the cuff.
I would say buy.
Buy?
Buy, definitely.
So it's been a good experience for you.
For sure.
Awesome. Cool. And well, Luiz, thanks so much for coming on, and I hope to maybe do another one down the road together.
Definitely. My pleasure, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for checking in, y'all. Don't forget to download. Let us know if this was helpful. See if you found some value in it. And don't forget to let us know if you have certain topics or guests that you would like for us to try to have on. And until next one, y'all. Have a good one.